cup of tea? That generally gets people to move. So the first group, let's do retail bank. Retail bank group. Who wants to talk about the retail bank? Top 4 capabilities you have in the retail bank.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong.
Where? What are the 4 capabilities you have in the retail bank?
We had manage or / develop products and services.
Okay.
And then we had manage customer experience.
Yes.
And then we went for manage the banking infrastructure or assets, whatever you want to call it. Banking infrastructure like the cash machines, the branches, that sort of thing. And last but not the least, compliance and governance, regulatory governance and compliance. Okay. So those were the 4 at the top level.
Do they sound reasonable for? I'm not saying that this is a complete.
What were they again? Can you just say them again?
Manage / develop products and services.
Yeah.
Manage customer experience. Manage infrastructure. Compliance, regulatory compliance and governance.
The managed experience is really acquired key.
Yes, everything is about. That's the low level there. Acquired customers. We're keen to hear anybody from banking.
Any ones you decided not to include at that top level? Just give me an example.
People went to the bottom.
Yeah.
I wasn't keen on that. The rest of the group thought that people were less important and that they were just part of the infrastructure and could be
Assets,
of IBM. Or Deloitte.
I think legal and regulatory compliance, it should be a top level.
We've got compliance.
We got compliance. That's one of the 4.
Manage risk. It's what I'd have probably put up there before we started running applications, but as there wasn't the 4.
Is that not covered by governance?
No.
Different manage risk.
But let's see, the 4 weren't to be the 4. It was just to be 4 from a set. That's all.
Shall I go through the others we didn't include? I mean, he's already covered.
People will give me a couple of
It was a
examples.
remarkably ignorant group. We knew nothing about it.
Exactly.
Hey, can I sell you a current account then? A couple of those you moved to.
We talked about people, as he mentioned,
Mhm.
and we talked about invest money, manage accounts, which we thought maybe is a lower level. We talked about security and risks and security. Manage people.
Risk and security in the bank, not the one that talked about the
That was security.
security bank.
Yeah, risk came with the government.
And attract and retain customers, which we thought was covered by customer experience.
Good examples. Local authority group. Yes, there was a flip chart.
Well, I made a mistake of writing, which I guess means that I got the report back as well, doesn't it? I'll live and learn.
Talk us through your ideas.
So, much disagreement in the group, but we ended up more or less agreeing on public services as being a top level one, delivering public services, generating revenue. You can't generate any revenue, you can't deliver any public services, ensuring public safety, and some debate around whether councils actually are there to represent the constituents and represent their views, but in the end we agreed that if you have councils and councillors, then surely you've got that to represent people's views, so we left it on, much to my colleagues discuss, because he didn't want on there. In terms of one is we...
Just to pause on that, that's a good example where of a challenge that might come up. So if you're thinking about what should our local authority do, I would assume, and I would say that a local authority needs to respond whatever to local needs.
I'd like to think so.
Yes. So the capability model for our local authority, I would probably have that in there somewhere. It may not be the top level, but in there somewhere. And then you look at your local authority, not naming anyone. And then you look at it, you could go against it and say, well, actually, how well do they deliver public services? Actually, what they do well. But they don't do everything I want them to do because they don't listen to me. And that's another use of the capability model. We take what like an industry standard model that says a local authority should listen to local needs, and then you go, is my local authority doing that? And one of these areas where you can you need to be careful when you build a capability model. You don't build it. You don't exclude things like that just because the organisation doesn't do it, if the organisation should be doing it. So the capabilities aren't necessarily just the current capabilities. They can also be potential future capabilities that the organisation either strategically wants to move towards, or which, if you're applying as a kind of benchmark, the industry standard is that they are doing. So
Most of the other examples are ones that we felt were capabilities just at the top level that we talked about, running libraries, providing social care, managing education, protecting the environment, providing parks and recreation, and refuge and highways. I think in most cases we felt they came underneath one of the four that we already talked about. I think the one that we struggled a little bit with was people. I think in the end we decided this was people was an entity, or constituents was an entity that is clearly important to local authorities. I think we decided that listening to local needs was wrapped up before. So I don't think we came up with any that we felt were outside of a local authority. We just came up with lower level capabilities.
Just on the people one, which is managing people, always remember you've got internal, you've got your staff, you've got your partners, if you like, delivering it, and then the people that are consuming it. So you think people, I always want to watch out for breaking it down to make sure you include your own staff, how they operate. Under-managed people might be a managed union, for example, in public service. And be very careful how you phrase manage union. Engage with union. There's again, that language can cripple you if you go in with the wrong language.
A question about local authority with capability model. Looking at that, it's very focused around the public thing. If you think about the local authority, actually it's part of government, so it's servicing multiple people,
Yes.
organisations. And I suppose in terms of that model, how would you represent that element of it, that side of it?
I would probably have one that says, engage with government, develop policy. So not everything that is done in the capability model is, there's been a lot of drama with saying outside-in thinking. Look at it from the outside, look at it, and that's great. But in terms of local authority, you see, in that case, you're more likely to see those things that impact you, the delivery of services, the listening to the locals and so forth. But you also need to then flip it over and do both. I think, well, actually, what do we do that enables us to deliver public services? We're going to set policy, to set budgets, and those aspects come in. So we had somehow generate revenue down the bottom, and I'd probably started off with manage revenue at this point, and then drill that down into generate, budget, track, such like in that box. But I say there is no right answer. That's one of the joys of the capability models as a consultant. There is no right answer into there. What you need to do is get an answer that has currency within your constituency that you're going to use to communicate.
Just in terms of that, how you decide what goes in there, you have to be doing this model against something. And with my sort of kind of worry with that, listen to local people, is could a local authority be deemed to be successful without that as a capability? And I thought at the time when we were doing that, the answer is probably yes. They could just set up all of the standard capabilities that the people next door do, and they could go on with it without even thinking about their constituents or what their constituents want. But ultimately the test is, does this capability model stack up? Does it deliver the strategic outcomes that come from its strategy?
Yes.
And does the strategy support its mission and business mission and vision? So that's the stacking up that has to be done in order to confirm that you're getting the right capabilities.
Absolutely, it doesn't sit in its own. If you go back to the original business architecture space, there's a whole lot of other things around there that also have an impact on that capability picture. Can an organisation be successful at listening to customers? Apple would argue they are. And the statement from Steve Jobs where I don't ask people what they want, I tell them what they need. I'm sort of paraphrasing that line. If you ask customers, business people, the classic example, you ask a business person what they want, the answer is they want a faster horse, they don't want a car. Now, that's a very disparaging view of business people and the fact, the assumption they can't think. But you do need to have that context around it and say, actually, does this make sense? And that's why by going through your stakeholders with your map, you're going to get people going, you've missed off listening to customers, you've missed off engaging with the unions, you've missed off this. And that's by getting multiple perspectives on your organisation, you can actually end up defining what the organisation does. And then you go, well, actually, does that map to what they claim to do in their mission statements and their strategy statements and so forth. So you can use that as a gathering tool to say, here is what the internal and external people of your organisation think about you. This is what they think that you do. Here's what you claim to do. There's a gap here, or there's no gap here, or it's disbalanced. And if you're taking examples like retail banking, if you go out to if you hit the web, type in capability model for retail banking, you'll come up with 2 or 3 industry standardized models of a retail bank. And the nice thing about standards, there's so many to choose from. This is another example in that model. And you may wish to pick one of those and compare that to your one, and use it to inform your one. But on the basis that your capability model is a communications tool that needs consensus and consistency and buy-in to make it work, I would always be informed by industry standards. And even if all I'm doing is changing the label of the box to something that resonates internally, in terms of the language or your clients or customers, for example, I would personalise it and make it idiosyncratic for that organisation, because that's going to increase the buy-in and make it useful. Our tea is outside, so one last group. Sorry, Kevin.
Are we finished with the groups?
I would think, well, there are 2 more groups. I'll take one more just now, because tea is right outside and I'm going to run over time. So one last group. Who was the volunteer? Out of the hospitality and supermarket. I'd love to hear hospitality. I stay in hotels a lot. Kevin, please.
We talked about lots of various ways you can decompose a hospitality company, but you were saying you're quite open to hearing new things.
Absolutely.
Architecture always looks at the bigger picture, so rather than looking at hospitality, we could potentially look at the bigger picture for all enterprises. And there are potentially, you can choose what you like, but potentially, there are potentially 4 different domains in every single enterprise. Doesn't matter what enterprise you are, they're all the same to think about. The first is D, which stands for direction. That's the part of the enterprise that sets the direction for the rest of the entire enterprise. So the board, the executive management, that's where the business strategy is done, etc. There's operations. That's the part of your enterprise that does whatever it does, i.e. it's a bank or it's a local health authority or whatever it is. There's transformation. That's the part of the enterprise that only exists to transform the rest of the organisation. And there's support, which is the part of the organisation that exists to just support the rest of the organisation. Most organisations have a IT support department, but maybe they should have a support department which also handles support requests about HR, finance issues, business issues, etc. 99%, if not 100% of what we've been talking about and what all companies talk about is that, which of course is very, very important. If you're a bank, how you do banking is very, very important. This area though, this transformation area, everybody misses. I've yet to see an operating model or a capability model that covers that area in
We
any...
didn't miss it.
Sorry?
We didn't miss it. We had it
I haven't seen you. I haven't seen you.
No, we didn't. And it certainly wasn't 99% O and 1% T.
But Kevin, you've got a half day coming up on this transformation. Yeah.
So this is another way, 5 high-level capabilities that you can use to look at any enterprise. And bearing in mind how you do transformation is strategically important, maybe transformation should be one of your top 4.
So Kevin, your half day, is it coming up or is it coming?
It's not half a day. There's a maturity assessment workshop on the 22nd to assess your very, very high level way of doing that in a very short amount of period of time to look at your
So that's one thing coming up from Kevin. Kevin did a session with us here and the BCS Enterprise Architecture Group, and it was fascinating. So if you have available, take a look, see if you can register, go along to that.
22nd.
That was the date. So check on this. This is, again, it's a very useful framework, again, back to capabilities. And some people have brought them in around directions and such like. Transformation potentially is, again, people think, actually, is that part of what my organisation does? Now, every organisation transforms in some way, shape or form, but people may not see that as being part of their core capability. That may be an oversight, that's what I'm watching for. This was the teaser side, and I did promise I'd finish at 5:30 and I've talked over. Moving on, we haven't got that, but as you refine, coming through, and I should say, it looks fine on the screen, but probably we'll put it up here, but we'll send them out. You may find yourself getting multiple instances of two capabilities that sound the same. You know, manage money might be one, or manage risk might be one. And there's ways of dealing with that, one of which is actually not worrying about it, because your managed risks in one context, and your other managed risks in another context, based upon the sort of hierarchy of capabilities come to it. You may be perfectly happy with that, and the organization might be perfectly happy to stick with that. Or you may want to say, well, actually, that risk is appearing all over the place. I want to create one capability that's a higher level, so actually manage risks is a core thing the organization does. Or just go, actually, this is where it really belongs. I will just reference it as other ones. So there's a range of different ways of dealing with duplications. The capability model doesn't have to be a tree structure coming down. It's probably easiest to explain, easiest to draw in that way. It doesn't have to be.
I've noticed that multiple instances are often caused by political things.
Absolutely.
That people don't want to, you know, there's two different perspectives on something. And people won't put them together because we're different. We have power.
The universal belief that in our organization what we do is unique. And generally speaking it isn't. And we've talked to wrap up. You can leverage a whole lot of different spaces. We've talked about a few of them around investments, strategic direction, strategic alignment, etc. And as I promised, not a mention of IT anywhere in this presentation, but still part very much of enterprise architecture. As it's now coffee, there's my contact details when you can take it down at the beginning, and I'll take questions as we get cups of coffee. Thank you.
That's a good surname you've got there, isn't it?
They'll all be sent out.
It's at the top of the strategy textbook we use. It's fine,
You have fun with that, no doubt, then,
Should change his name as well.
Lindsay, you're next, yeah?
I believe so, yes. Unless I have been told. Sorry?
Well, we've got to